Hello and welcome to the WeYouMe State of the Network number 25 here on the 23rd of September with your host Harrison McLean, where we talk all about this week's WeYouMe updates. But first, you might be asking, what is WeYouMe? WeYouMe is a protocol for blockchain social media with a decentralized exchange and a peer-to-peer marketplace. Users can make boards and make posts on those boards, groups, or profiles, and encrypt them to make them private. Businesses can create crypto assets to represent voting power and distribute revenue. Merchants can list products for sale and receive free and virtually instant payments from their customers. Users earn rewards when they post valuable content, earn tips, and can charge micropayments to access premium content. Supernodes earn rewards for providing file storage through IPFS. The protocol itself earns revenue by selling account memberships, post promotions, and charging trading fees. Every interface of the blockchain can choose which content to display and how to sort it. The protocol has no censorship. Users can choose which identity to use for posting, whether it's their full profile account, persona account, or anonymously. Users and applications that create accounts for new users earn an ongoing share of the revenue from those users. So this week in the WeYouMe updates, we have the mobile wireframe. So the WeYouMe team is producing a mobile wireframe for demonstrating the application. The components of the wireframe will show the basic features that will be present in the eventual mobile application. A prototype mobile application will be developed to read the WeYouMe testnet after the web interface is completed. On the competitive analysis, work continues on the WeYouMe competitive analysis, which aims to describe the adoption strategies and differentiation points of WeYouMe between other social media platforms. Details regarding the multi-sided network effects developed by the social media platform, marketplace, and exchange were completed this week, in addition to the demographic segments that WeYouMe will focus on for each adoption phase. And lastly, we'd like to acknowledge the Melbourne University Blockchain Association. So WeYouMe was represented at the first event for MUBA, which featured a panel discussing the future of cryptocurrencies. A particular focus was placed on how mainstream industries stand to be disrupted by blockchain technology, particularly central banks and exchanges. Next up this week, we have the thread review. So every week, WeYouMe makes a post to Steam announcing this state of the network, and people can comment in the thread for myself to discuss those questions or comments in the next week's episode. So every thread is up for 7 days, and every week we check what happens in the prior 7 days. So your comments can include questions, discussion topic, feedback, everyone's favorite memes, videos, or pictures. The best comment in each week's thread, as determined by the net upvotes it receives in value, will win 10 Steam. So that used to be 50 BitShares, that is now 10 Steam. So it has been doubled in value. So the best comment in each week's thread will win 10 Steam as of this week. So that's double prizes. So let's go to the WeYouMe Hangout thread for this week. Okay. Just give that one a refresh. And here we are on the WeYouMe Alpha. So from now on, we're going to be reading the state of the network thread off of the WeYouMe Alpha, now that it's looking pretty good. Yep. So we'll just log in first. It's going to log me out. And here we go. And second on the trending section of Steam at the moment is the state of the network thread. And here we go. So the thread, as it does every week, discusses all the important details about the WeYouMe project and has the Discord link and has our all-important questions and comments at the bottom. So we have some interesting comments and questions here. We have Nelvis, who says, "What enthusiasm I feel knowing that soon we'll be on a platform where, in addition to socializing, we'll be able to negotiate our projects, where we will not be censored. A fresh way to earn cryptocurrencies with publishing, commenting, and promoting." That's a great comment there. And there's my comment. Leave your comment or question in the thread to win 50 BitShares. So that's now been doubled to 10 Steam, and importantly, that doesn't require people to leave their BitShares address, allowing there to be a bit more participation. Do you want to know if the platform has an exchange for crypto for fiat currency? Considering its purpose is a social business network, this would be a plus from Mariana. That's a very important point to make there. So we will be integrating fiat gateways into the decentralized exchange, but they are not ready yet. We are in coordination with partner projects for that exact purpose. Here we go. Master the Matrix says, "I would love to see a cooperation with Steam Monsters. That would be great if WeYouMe could become a link between Steam Monsters and BitShares." Very interesting proposition there. I happen to have some Steam Monsters. They were pretty cool when I got my ones. And we have John Robert, who says, "I'm excited for how WeYouMe will bring censorship-resistant communication and barrier-free commercial opportunities to every man, woman, and child around the world." That is a fantastic one there. And then we've got a few more. We have a very prescient one here. Cardboard. So Steam competition. You're exactly right. So starting this week, we're going to be paying out double the effective value. So 50 BitShares is worth about $5. 10 Steam is worth around about $10. So that increases the prize. And we'll see which one has the highest upvote ratio. So my votes have gone and muddled all that up. So we'll go by a number of votes for this particular one. So I probably shouldn't be voting for this, should I? Alrighty. Which one should we have winning this week? Anyway, so this is this week's thread. The actual competition winner is for last week's thread. So we'll head back to last week's thread and we'll see what there was posted in last week's thread. So this week's thread's looking great. We'll go back to last week's thread where there are some more questions. And we'll see which one wins 50 bit shares for last week. This week is 10 Steam. So next week the winner will win 10 Steam. So number 24 with 70 comments. Let's take a look through here. And this time I haven't directly voted, so this one here is looking pretty good. The highest ranking comment with a BitShares address attached to it looks like Sandra G89. So we'll have winner this week, Sandra G89 wins 50 BitShares, and starting next week it's going to be 10 Steam, so next week is double prizes. So 50 BitShares goes to Sandra. Congratulations. Okay, so we've got a lot of great comments for next week's thread, and if you'd like to join in the competition and have your question or comment featured in next week's thread review, then you can go to the link for this week's Hangout State of the Network thread, which I'm going to pop into the Discord now. So congratulations to Sandra, and if you'd like to make a comment in this week's thread with some really cool questions, memes, pictures, comments, whatever you like, we'll go through it next week in next week's thread review. And that's the alpha thread there, so you can check out how the new alpha looks and get a look and feel for how that all works. So next week we'll be having the winner win 10 Steam. Next up in the State of the Network, we'll have our developer update. So we'll head over to the lead developers GitHub update, and if Nick would like to take it away, then Nick, you can go from here. Yes, we can hear you. Yep, so for those of you who are on YouTube, you can check out the WeYouMe development update log. Yeah. 3-part GIF series. Very good. Excellent. So it speeds up the entire development process by automatically publishing all the libraries as you make changes to each one incrementally. Very good. Oh, that was terrible. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's that's very, very good updates there. It's very interesting to see a lot of Steam APIs go down, and thank you to the team at Steamhouse for being the first API that we're able to pop onto after all the others went down. So we're glad to see those back up again. And yeah, a lot of hard slog getting development hardware organized, a lot of development environments set up. But the long and short of it is we have 10 new monitors for additional developers as we add them onto the team. And we've been forming relationships with other graphene developers that are able to help us through this early period, particularly in launching the initial chain and getting around some of the details with the init public key. So thank you, Nick. Do you have anything else you want to bring up at the moment? Absolutely. Very good. Okay, so great to see the new development log updates. That makes everything a lot more clear so that everybody can see the updates in full. So Nick is going to be posting his dev log updates alongside every state of the network that we go through. So there'll be a much better communication line for the team and everybody to follow. Thank you, Nick. And you've done fantastically this week. Moving along, we will go into the discussion topics that we have for this week. So I'll try to be a little bit faster with these than I usually am. But it's important that we sort of take a step back and we really internalize why it is that we are building what we are building. Because it's all fine and good to go along with the flow, but it's always important to step back and understand the fundamental changes that we're making to the human condition when we have a project like this. So I'm going to start by taking the concept of money down to its most fundamental form. And what that is money is fundamentally a system for the communication of value. So whatever it is, whether it's plastic, whether it's a bank account or a piece of gold, whatever it is, it's a physical representation or a digital representation of something that that connotates value. And there have been countless different examples of this throughout human civilization. And they all take advantage of something important called the market system. And the market system is fundamentally the most efficient way of calculating value, because it's very, very difficult to gather together information to actually provide an accurate price for what one thing is worth in terms of another. So by using a price system whereby people exchange things voluntarily, you have effectively emergent, quantitative, up to the second accurate data that is aggregated from everyone in the economy, especially when information is dispersed and asymmetric. You're able to combine together all of the information that everybody has and convert that into one number that explains how much this thing is worth to society. And that is incredibly important, because what it does is it allows people to have a very, very simple and objective basis so that they can direct their behavior to do something that is constructive. So there's no ruler or no fundamental ruler in the universe more so than the conservation of energy. And it's very difficult when people don't necessarily understand the products and things that they use to understand how much something really costs in terms of the amount of energy and the amount of time and resources and labor that it took to produce it. The only way for people to be able to really provide an accurate and up-to-date value that can't be spoofed, that's very important that it can't be spoofed. The only way to provide an accurate and up-to-date information stream to everyone in the economy without having to deal with the why something is valuable, just explaining that it is valuable. If this mechanism can be spoofed, then the economy forms an inefficient cycle of producing something that is falsely valued. That's why it's very important that things have an accurate price, and the way that information flows is with value flow, and that always goes through, or almost always goes through, the path of least resistance. So whichever mechanism allows this exchange of information about value to be transmitted such that there is the least total loss of value along this information stream, that means it takes into account all costs of using that information stream. So if you have fiat currency, the costs incurred in the way of inflation, in the way of taxation from whoever operates the system. But with cryptocurrency, we fundamentally have a way to make those financial costs of using a value system objectively and mathematically based in certainty. That's a massive improvement over anything we've ever done before. By allowing everyone to be able to audit the system of value communication, you're able to provide an objective cost to what the information system is charging from people to use it. So when you are able to plan inflation or know what it is in advance, then you don't run into the problem of providing a central third party with the ability to infinitely inflate the currency. Because what that does is it creates an excessively large cost in inflation to everybody who uses that system. And value generally flows through the path of least resistance, so the lowest transaction fees, the lowest transaction times, and the lowest inflation. Whatever system has those three things will be the way that value chooses to be transmitted, such that the most possible value is communicated and transferred to the person on the other side. That's the value system doing its job well. If it's fast, if it's cheap, and if it has low inflation. That means it's operating at a high rate of efficiency. So how this comes into what we're doing is the next part of this discussion. And that is analogizing the internet and explaining that the internet thrives because it lowered information communication costs to the bare minimum, basically free. When we use the internet every day, we have a system that allows anybody to share any information to the world for free instantly, and that has allowed an exponential growth in the amount of information that humanity and in the amount of information humanity has to process, to store, and to utilize for development and communication of ideas. Because you lower the cost to almost zero for transmitting information, you make it very fast, you make it very cheap, and you make it very difficult to interrupt. That's what the internet does, and that's why we have so much more information today. Orders and orders of magnitude more information available today than we had even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's growing exponentially because it has a dematerialized cost of production now. Information is generated virtually for free, so it can thrive. And what I argue is that blockchains facilitate the communication and exchange of value at the same level of near zero marginal cost as the internet. So in previous systems you had high cost and slow methods of value communication, because every system of value relied on a trusted intermediary to issue whatever unit of value it was. When you take that away and you hand over that responsibility to a protocol, the same way the internet hands over responsibility of packet communication to the TCP/IP protocol, you allow value transfer at the same speed as information. So this fundamentally equalizes the playing field between the information that humanity generates and the speed at which we can transmit value in the form of information. We no longer need a physical form or a central third-party database to actually represent value. We have a way to do it using a protocol, so people can agree on a protocol instead of agreeing on a person or body or institution. When you agree on a protocol, everyone can create a collective understanding of what value is that is not based on something that can ever die or be destroyed or shut down. You base it on an idea instead of a man or a person or a business or a building or a government. All of those things can fail or die or be destroyed or be taken down. An idea cannot be destroyed, for it is the most contagious thing that we have. And what blockchains facilitate is, at the moment, not quite yet, but what they will facilitate is a universal language of value. We'll have a convergence to the path of least resistance for information and value to be transmitted through. And that's what we're trying to build here, the universal language of value. And with that said, we'll move through to any questions anyone has about this week's discussion topics. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? What questions do you guys have for me today? Thank you. Okay, so if there's no questions, we'll move along to the next part of the state of the network, and that is this week's competition, and we're switching it up this week to a new competition. And that is being very annoying. Yep, the old rename the file problem. For those of you on the live stream, that is not the correct slide, and this is the correct slide. There we go. Okie dokie. So this week we're switching it up, and we are moving the competition onto the WeYouMe Alpha. So this week's question is as follows. Post on the WeYouMe Alpha answering this question. Which feature do you want to see in the WeYouMe app and why? With at least one descriptive image. Doesn't have to be that descriptive, just one image obviously to act as the thumbnail for the Steam post, and include the first tag as hashtag WeYouMe, the same hashtag that we use on the State of the Network post. And the important part is to link your post from the alpha, so that's alpha.weyoume.io, link to the alpha in the competitions Discord. So the competition section of the Discord is listed right along the sidebar, and we are upping the prize again. So the highest upvote value post in the WeYouMe tag that is replying to this question will win 50 Steam. That's right, 50 Steam, everybody. And the winner will be announced in next week's State of the Network. And if the winner is present in next week's State of the Network, then they will win a bonus 25 Steam. So we're moving from Twitter this week over to the WeYouMe Alpha. So if you haven't checked out the Alpha yet, then you can check that out at alpha.weyoume.io, and you can see how smooth the interface works and how much better the post editing interface is, especially when you're writing long form posts. It can get a little bit annoying, but we've made something that works quite nicely. And we've also added to the interface the ability to flag posts. So it's an important part that a lot of people forget about the Steam white paper, is that it ran on the assumption that when there was widespread abuse of the voting pool, that people would downvote those people. There was a giant story in the Steam white paper that everyone seems to have forgotten, called the story of the crab bucket. And it said that no matter how you try to distribute money, there will always be people that that try to manipulate how it's distributed, and that the way Steam has to defend against people manipulating the voting pool, which may include bot voting, self-voting, all of that, it's very important that if you think a post is overvalued, it's important that you downvote that post using your Steam voting power, just as it is that you upvote posts you like. So instead of delegating your Steam power to the bot with the highest APR, it's more valuable in the long-term future of Steam if everybody upvotes high-quality content that they like, people that are contributing to the conversation, people that are helping grow the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So we've added in a downvote button, because what the downvote button fundamentally does is it's not so much downvoting that person as much as it's upvoting everybody else. Whenever you downvote a post, you're basically giving a tiny microscopic upvote to everybody else. So you're distributing the reward pool more fairly. So that's why we put that into the alpha in a little bit better sort of positioning. Anyway, so moving forward, we have next up in this week's State of the Network, we're going to draw last week's competition winner. And that was, of course, on Twitter. And we're just going to load Twitter here. Don't you love it when centralized social media literally loads slower than decentralized social media? Isn't that crazy? Man, something is cooked. I'm refreshing this. Just start a new tab. Okay, there we go. Okie dokie, so let's pop into the mentions on the WeYouMe account. And I'm not sure how many entries we had this week. Okay, so since the last hangout, we've had 2 entries this week. Mercado Libre Daily. Very interesting there. And then we have Sam, who says the business platform that I've used the most is Amazon, because I can find many things in one place. And I have many expectations about WeYouMe and love how it has been proposed. And then it's linked to the business and application suite. Okay, so it looks like our winner this week is Sam Gissett1 with over 200 engagements. And let's check the competitions Discord. And it's Sandra G89. Congratulations, Sandra. Winner of 100 and just the 100 bit yesterday. Yep. Okay, winner of 100 bitches, Sandra G. Congratulations, Sandra. Okay, so just a reminder for this week's new competition, I'm going to post a Steam thread about this very shortly to see if we can really bring out the Steam community to participate with this one. But to reiterate, this week's competition is on the Steam Alpha, so please link to the Steam Alpha in the competitions Discord. Your answer to this question: which feature do you want to see in the WeYouMe app and why, with at least 1 image? Please include an image describing visually what the feature is that you want to see. So next up we'll go to the discussion about the private seed round. So at the moment WeYouMe is raising seed capital from private investors. 15% of the total WeYouMe supply is on offer to seed round investors at a price of $3 BitUSD per unit. And this does have a minimum investment of $50,000 with a maximum investment of $500,000. A 10% bonus is applicable on all investments of over $250,000. And investments are not liquid until the mainnet release. You can contact Harrison at WeYouMe.io to arrange an acquisition. And of course, if you are not able to contribute to this round of seed funding, then you can help by sharing and liking this video, by subscribing to the WeYouMe YouTube channel, and by introducing investors to WeYouMe. And we'd like to thank all of our angel investors for their ongoing support of the project as we move forward into this new phase of funding arrangements. So lastly, we'll go to the general discussion and questions and answers. So here we'll have any open questions for myself and the team about any subject that you like. And of course, you can email me, harrison@weyoume.io, for any other queries, team role applications, proposals, or business matters. You can campaign to become a mainnet WeYouMe witness, developer, marketer, or advocate by creating a thread on Steam and posting a link to the witness, dev, marketing, or advocate Discord sections. And of course, it's important to remember that 6 different cryptocurrencies will be included in a share drop of WeYouMe on mainnet release. So hold those in a wallet that you have control over. And you can join the WeYouMe Telegram channel at www.t.me/WeYouMe Network. So that pretty much finishes up the state of the network for this week. Before we go, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask at all? Or any points that they want to bring up?
Harrison, any comments on China's social scoring system?
I have quite a lot of comments on China's social credit score. I actually recently saw a very, very revealing documentary released on Australian TV about China's social credit score. I don't have many good things to say about it. It's essentially a government-sponsored behavioral ranking system that is beyond judicial control, beyond any form of appeal. It is simply not even technocracy, techno-dictatorship. That's exactly the one that I saw not even very long ago. That was fantastic. I recommend everybody that's interested in the subject take a look into that documentary. That is the exact one right there. So basically, for those of you who haven't seen it, it describes the advancement of Chinese surveillance technology and the integration of massive amounts of data collection about individual Chinese citizens to effectively sort them into obedient, regular, and disobedient Chinese citizens. They make a lot of song and dance about it, but that's basically what it is. It is the government selecting which people it will allow the privilege of accessing public transport and even leaving the country. So if you speak out against the Chinese government, they will in fact not allow you to leave the country, because if your social credit score goes too low, you are barred from buying plane tickets, train tickets, having high-speed internet. It is essentially a cage and a muzzle for anybody who speaks out against the Chinese state without them having to lift a single finger. It is the most absolutely Orwellian thing I have ever witnessed, and it is very, very real. And if we keep going the way we're going, allowing central third parties to control social media, to control money, and importantly to have central control over a one-party government state, I think is the most pressing issue there, then it is likely that the West will trend in the same direction. So this is the bad example for where we do not want to take technology, and it is enabled in part by financial monitoring. So they actually monitor what you buy in supermarkets and judge you based on your purchases. So it's for this reason that financial privacy and financial autonomy is paramount. The fact of the matter is, it should not be, so reputation systems, in my view, should not be constructed from the government's perspective on what you do. Reputation systems that are worthwhile are based on peer-to-peer reviewing, one person to one person. The state should not be the universal counterparty of reputational honor, the universal judge of character, the universal measuring stick of human quality is what they are attempting to engineer. They're attempting to place the state and everybody who serves its interests as a super class that has access to everything in society with little to no resistance, and everybody who does not meet their definition of a valued individual is relegated to immobility and silence, is what it is. It is a silencing tool. It is a tool designed to, in many ways, facilitate social and genetic engineering by allowing people who are more obedient to the state to be able to have better access to high quality partners. That's another component that comes into this. So I don't have many good things to say about it at all. And for those of you interested in the subject, that documentary is quite good. I'll just show that in the Discord here. So it's Foreign Correspondent exposing China's digital dystopian dictatorship. Absolutely fantastic piece of investigative journalism. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Very, very thoughtful answer.
Yeah.
I've actually got one more comment slash question. So it occurs to me that countries like Venezuela or portions of Africa need cryptocurrency and the economic structure the most. Are there any special tools that you have thought about to service those countries that are just thirsty for this? And what I mean by that is, like, is there some sort of boots on the ground? I think that would be amazing to help spread WeYouMe in terms of like a workspace center or something to that effect.
At this time, we have not negotiated with local representatives in Africa, but we do have the Beyond Bitcoin Cash team, which I believe is based in, I want to say, Argentina and Venezuela, across those two countries, who are doing some significant outreach in the Spanish community. And while I remember it, recently the WeYouMe white paper has been translated in its entirety into Spanish. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to the Beyond Bitcoin Cash team and their translators for the work they've done. If you are interested in reading the Spanish WeYouMe white paper, then you can go to the WeYouMe website, and under white paper there is a link to the Spanish white paper there. So another thing I'll do is pop that in the Discord for you guys to see as well. So yeah, we have started the work of translating into Spanish. So Spanish is the first one, and other countries with a particular focus on South America are, I think, ideal starting places for this technology to take root, where it's most vitally necessary right now. Yeah, I think for the mainstream to really adopt it and for it to take hold, it needs an absolutely overwhelmingly dense network effect in a particular country. And unfortunately, one of the ways that's going to happen is when the other alternative financial systems, they unfortunately will collapse and fail. All fiat currency systems are inherently unsustainable. They cannot last. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is around about 30 years. All of the other ones that have existed longer than that have done so through largely military force. When you're able to use military force to extract the value of a global commodity by pegging its exchange to your currency, then you're able to have your currency last a little bit longer. But fundamentally, when it's inflated arbitrarily and it's controlled by a central bank that prints it at whim, then it will not last, because it cannot possibly sustain its own debt, and because it cannot possibly sustain the public's trust forever. So that's my view on this. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I think that'd be great. Another project I'd like to draw attention to from Venezuela is Eat BCH. So there's actually an organization operating in Venezuela to provide food to people on the ground using Bitcoin Cash-based donations. And if there were to be a similar project started on the WeYouMe blockchain, that would be something that could even be supported by the Community Enterprise Fund, which does have an issuance of 5% of total Mecoin. So that's something that not only do I support, I have built and facilitated into the very protocol of WeYouMe. Waba Network. What does Waba Network do, Ryan? Yep. Anyway, so yeah, great projects forming in Venezuela and in South America in general, because they are seeing a lot faster than the rest of the world. They're having to essentially face the problems that all currencies have at the end of their life cycle. They're sort of like stars on the main sequence in a way. They expand and expand and expand until one day they can't, and they just explode. So that's what you see with an inflating currency into a death spiral. Once a currency has lost the trust of its people, it doesn't matter how many more you print, people don't believe in its value anymore. So that's why it's important to have objectively defined issuance schedules. Hard money is great. Hard money is the ideal solution for storing value. The ideal solution for distributing value between an ongoing community of contributors is, I think, linear inflation, not exponential inflation, linear inflation. What that means is that today's work and today's contribution is equal in value to yesterday's contribution, a year ago's contribution, and a year from now's contribution. It values the present and the future exactly the same. In a system like Steam that has exponential inflation, it provides an effective value to the future's posts that is much higher than today's, and it provides a value to the past post that is lower than today's. When you have linear inflation, you have the same reward relative to everything else being paid for contribution. Very important point there. It's me, boss lady. We, the people, are the value. That's exactly right. Any monetary system has value when people believe that it has value. And in order for people to be able to believe that something has value, it needs to be understandable, it needs to be objective, and it needs to be able to be understood without having a central third party dictating how and when that protocol or that monetary system is updated. And useful is another very important part of this. So does anyone have any other questions or things they'd like to bring up? Okay, so with that said, we'll roll up the state of the network for this week, and we'll finish up here. So thank you everybody for tuning in to this week's State of the Network. My name is Harrison McLean. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to those who like and subscribe to the WeYouMe channel on YouTube. And together we will build the next world. Thank you and good night.